What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio for the DFS show, where we're going to talk about the fights to target, the fights to fade, the fighter to fade, favorite dog, favorite GPP play, favorite cash play, favorite value play, dart throw. Answer any questions you guys have, and at the end, we're going to actually see how we did last week on our lineups, and then we're going to give some new lineups for this week. Can't wait to talk about that. If you guys can, leave a like on the video. Also, subscribe to Pub Sports Radio if you have not yet. And so I'll kick it to Uncle Weezy. Uncle Weezy, what is up with you, and how did you last week?
Last week was a good week for me. I finished up a couple units. I stayed really small. My biggest bet of the week was Mark Madsen money line, and I told everyone going into that fight that Mark Madsen was going to win a striking-based decision. So it made me the smartest guy on Twitter and everywhere else. Now, I took a shower after cashing that bet, but, when they cash, they cash. It was a good week. I'm ready for this week. This is an interesting week for DraftKings. I just wanted to mention something here that last week, William Knight was minus 170 and priced at 9,400. And this week, Makhmud Muradov is minus 550, and he's $100 cheaper than Knight was last week at 9,300. So this is a really interesting week for lineup construction. I can't wait to see what reads you guys have. I've got a few. I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, it's weird, compared to last week where I don't think there was a favorite bigger than minus 200. I think the biggest favorite is like Chase Sherman minus 190 around there. Now we have a bunch of huge favorites. So I think lineup construction is going to be a lot different than last week. What is up, Luke? How are you? And how'd you do last week?
Yeah, pretty good on the betting side. I think I went up like over 8 units between all three cards last week. DraftKings, I think I kind of washed out even. I fared okay in cash. I kind of got smoked in tournaments, had way too much Sherman, but I did have some Porter as well. But made some GPP mistakes last week, but all things considered, came out roughly even, but solid on the betting front.
There you go. Yeah, plus 8 units. Great for you. There you go. Z, what is up with you, and how'd you do last week?
I did all right. I pretty much broke even on DraftKings. Think I lost a matter of dollars, like $4 or something. And then between PFL, Bellator, and UFC, I made about 170, I think. UFC basically broke even. Again, small loss there. Luckily for me, Bellator came through in a big way, and so did Pantoja, getting that finish over Royval. I was able to cash a nice bet there. So all things considered, a bit of a bumpy road, but a net win for me. So looking forward to keep that rolling into this week.
Yeah, last week was like a pretty tough card. So glad to see you guys made some money on the betting side. I did go up, I think, like 0.76 units. Happy with that. The card was very tough. So we shall start, as always, with the fight to target. And we will start with Luke. What is your fight to target for UFC Vegas 35?
As usual, there's definitely probably a few of them, but I'm actually going to go with Barboza Chikadze. It's the fourth highest ITD line on the entire slate, with both guys around that 8.28K. It's also the main event, so we're going to have 5 rounds to work with. I know on paper there isn't really much perceived grappling upside in the fight, which I definitely understand, but I think these guys are going to chuck heat. We've seen Chikadze slow down a little bit at times. I think Barboza can probably finish him, but Chikadze hits hard. He's got that really nasty body kick. I think somebody goes out here, and it's most likely Barboza. So it's kind of one of those awkward ones where usually if you're looking to target a fight, usually there's at least one fighter in there that has more, or I should say higher grappling upside in the matchup, even though I think Barboza could definitely wrestle if he chose to. Is a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well too, I believe. But yeah, I think this one's going to be a banger, and because of their price levels, I think you'll be able to fit both of them into your constructions.
Yeah, I definitely like it. I actually think there's a good chance that there is maybe a finish in this fight. I know Z, I think you took a shot on the under 4.5. I did as well. I think it's going to be a violent fight. I think it's going to be a very exciting fight as well. And I'm with you guys, or I'm with you, Luke, that I think it's definitely a good fight to target. Z, what is your fight to target for UFC Vegas 35?
We came to the same conclusion, Luke. I got this fight, I think, one way or another. The winner's getting a finish. And Brady, you're right. I did bet the under 4.5. I got minus 117, which I think is a pretty competitive line for 4.5 rounds, with these guys both playing a very dangerous game. Both of them have shown to slow down in fights, but I do think it's going to be Giga who's slowing down more than Barboza. But it's an interesting dynamic because stylistically, I do think Giga's long-range style of striking from the outside, looking to explode and snipe, can give Barboza some problems if Barboza is not getting off on his strikes and wearing on the cardio of Giga. So very interesting dynamic. And I think, pretty much, again, just echoing what Luke said, you're going to want to target this fight because the winner is probably going to get a finish.
Yeah, I'm with you. I kind of feel like if Giga does win, I think it's even more so like an early knockout. Whereas if Barboza does win, I think he's going to kind of wear down Giga. We've seen him slow down multiple times in the third round. And if he gets to the fourth or fifth, how is Giga going to look? In my opinion, probably not great. So I'm with you. I think that Barboza does get that knockout, but both sides are probably decent here. Weezy, what is your fight to target for this card?
All right, I'm going with Manny Martinez and Guido Canetti here. I love that first fight of the night almost all the time, and that one is going to be an absolute baller of a fight. I can't wait for it. Manny Martinez is a huge favorite. It is the third most likely fight to finish inside the distance according to the bookies, and it's. Even though it's the third most, I kind of feel like the Muradov Meerschaert fight and the Petroski Gilmore fight, there's not as much reason to like the underdog. But for Canetti, even though he's a bum and he's 41 years old, he's got some grappling upside. And we've seen Manny Martinez have some problems on the ground. So I kind of figure whoever wins this fight is going to be optimal. But I'm going to have way more Manny Martinez, obviously, than I will Canetti. But I do think that I want to be overexposed to Canetti because if he does get some grappling points, he could be one of the best punt options out there. So I'm going to be targeting that fight pretty heavily.
Yeah, good point there. Like if Canetti does win, right, he's going to get takedowns, he's going to get control time, and he's going to be basically non-owned. So I do like that call, Weezy. I personally think that Mana does shave his ass, but again, if Guido does win the fight, it probably does score pretty decent, especially considering his price tag. For me, my fight's gonna be an interesting one. This is actually my favorite fight on the card. It's going to be Kevin Lee going against Dan Rodriguez, and it's a tough fight to call because Kevin Lee has fought the much better competition, and it's not even close. But I feel like Dan Rodriguez definitely has the tools to win this fight. Kevin Lee's coming up a weight class, coming off of 2 major injuries as well. He's going to be the smaller fighter, so I feel like D-Rod can keep this on the feet. And then maybe find a knockout here. But on the flip side, if this is a levels fight, and if Kevin Lee proves to be the much better fighter, Kevin Lee's probably going to score decent. He's probably going to get a lot of takedowns. So 8,500 Kevin Lee, I don't hate it. I think he has takedown upside, control time upside. Daniel Rodriguez 7,700. I think he has finish upside as well. We've seen Kevin Lee finish multiple times in his career. So for that fight is the fight to target for me. Anything else stick out to you guys for this one?
I like that Kevin Lee Rodriguez one too. I think that's a good one to have shares on both sides.
Yeah, just the fight in general, I think it's going to be a phenomenal fight. My favorite fight on the card, a very intriguing fight as well. I do want to shout out the chat real quick. We have Palama in the chat. What is up, Palama? We have Monk as well. David, Big Bird in the chat. What is up, Chris, as well? Thank you for hanging out, Chris. Asphalt, what is up, Asphalt? Trevor in the chat as well. Grateful Dude. We got Preston in the chat. Shaving ass and making cash. What a time to be alive. I like it. We got Dan in the chat as well. Thank you for hanging out, Dan. Would not be a stream without you. Biker Boy in the chat. David as well. We have free UFC bet picks. Appreciate you for hanging out as well. And then AJ, what is up, AJ? Hanging out as well. Appreciate you for stopping by. And then Clint, I shave my it's sponsored by Manscaped, right, Clint? Come on. There you go. Appreciate you for shaving that ass. Here we go. All right. Moving on. Next, we have the fight to fade, and let's start with Z. What is your fight to fade?
All right, so I don't know if you want to fade it completely because I kind of think Alvey might get a knockout, but I have a tough time putting any type of money on Alvey or Turman. I have lost big on Turman in the past, and Alvey is just very untrustworthy, very low volume, very reliant on landing his counter lead right hook, and yeah, I just don't think you really want to be heavy on either side here. So again, I don't know if it's a great fight to fade entirely, but these are two pretty untrustworthy fighters in my opinion. And the way Alvey fights, it could be a very slow-paced fight. Maybe there's some cage pushing. Maybe there's a lot of staring at each other. Maybe Turman's pretty hesitant, having been knocked out twice in a row. So yeah, maybe you want to take a shot on Alvey for the knockout upside. But all in all, I think this is a fight I'm going to be staying away from generally.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, just Sam Alvey fights in general do not score well. If it does go to decision, it could very well be probably the lowest fight in terms of scoring on the entire slate. I'll personally have some Alvey just in case he does find that knockout. Turman has been knocked out in his last 2 fights. Turman has no striking defense. So, yeah, solid fight to fade there. As for me, Z's not going to like this one, but my fight to fade is going to be JJ Aldrich going against Vanessa Vanopoulos. And I mean, I think JJ wins. I think she wins, pretty handily here. The problem with that is she's sitting at, what is she, 9,100. I just like the fighters around her. I like Makhmud Muradov more, 9,300. I like Andre Petroski more, 9,200. I like Mana Martinez more, 9,000. So although I do think JJ does win and she does likely shave some ass here, it's just really hard for me to get there. So for me, I'm not really too interested in that fight. As far as Demopoulos, I think she's a little bit outgunned here. She's going to be the smaller fighter. Maybe outside of like an armbar from guard, I really just don't see her winning the fight here. So for me, this is the fight to fade. Not much interest in it, just based off the fact that I like other guys around her. All right, Weezy, what is your fight to fade?
I'm going with Dustin Jacoby versus Darren Stewart. This is a fight that's it's actually plus money to enter to fight not going to decision. So it's not it's a upper weight class fight that doesn't have a great chance of finishing, and most of these guys are somewhat lower volume as well. If I look at the points that these guys score in DraftKings, Darren Stewart scores only 2.42 DraftKings points a minute and allows 3.52, and Dustin Jacoby only scores 2.68 points a minute and allows 3.14. So these are not high volume fighters. This is probably not going to be a fight that's very low on grappling as well. And for an upper weight class fight that's plus money to not go to the distance, it's probably one I'm going to stay away from.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Luke, what is yours?
Yeah, I'm actually right there with Weezy. This was a bit of a tough one for me, but it is one of 4 fights of the card expected to go the distance. We have seen Darren Stewart grapple a bit more in recent years, but I do think Jacoby's takedown defense has improved, which I know is ironic because he got taken down 9 times in his last fight by crazy dude, Kudalaba.
Yeah.
But I mean, Kudalaba is a pretty solid wrestler, and even in doing so, he only got 4 minutes of control time. Actually attempted a total of 19 takedowns. So, he still stuffed quite a bit. And I still don't necessarily think you can expect Darren Stewart to dive on legs for 15 minutes. I do think there's probably going to be some big strikes in this fight, but I think largely both guys have proven to be reasonably durable in the aggregate as well. So I more so see it just being kind of like I wouldn't say higher action, but definitely one where there's going to be some bigger strikes thrown, but it's one that just goes the distance more often than not. I think there's just other fights kind of around both of those fighters that I'd be more inclined to play. So I wouldn't be shocked with a finish from either side. Like I said, it's kind of right around that 50-50 mark to go the distance, not to go the distance. But yeah, it's kind of a tough week to pick one to fade, but I'm gonna go with the sluggers to actually fade this week.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like, if anything, maybe some Darren Stewart if he does choose to wrestle and grapple, but not something he really does, much and all that well, to be honest. So I'm with you guys there. Anything else to stuck out as far as a fade? All right, so let's move on to the fighter to fade, and let's start with Z. What is your fighter to fade here?
I'm going to be fading Vanessa Demopoulos because she will be dispatched of with the quickness in this fight. Brady trying to fade this fight where I'm saying JJ Aldrich is about to box her face off. Vanessa Demopoulos is not on this level. She's very hittable, extremely hittable. I'll get into it more when we're talking about, I think it's my GPP play. But yeah, I think Aldrich is just going to beast her. Like, Vanessa has no head movement, no real skill set. She's older. She's smaller than JJ. Not only is she smaller than JJ, but she's smaller than all of JJ's previous opponents, or at least as of late. And conversely, JJ is larger than all of Demopoulos's recent opponents. So I think stepping in here, UFC debut, short notice, taking a big step up. There's a big level gap here. And JJ, she's in here having competitive fights with larger UFC fighters and displaying to me some pretty decent skills and evolution. That's to be expected training with the champion, Rose Namajunas, right? And her style of being that southpaw sniper, she's not really looking for pitter-patter strikes. She might be a little bit low volume, but here, I mean, it's playing T-ball. So she's going to be able to just land at will, in my opinion. And I do certainly see her finishing Demopoulos. So I guess I went into my fighter to target for GPPs. But yeah, I would say don't have any of Vanessa Demopoulos. I think she's getting absolutely murked.
Nice. What line did you get on JJ Aldrich inside the distance?
So I bet 220 on her, which is a pretty big bet for me, considering I got plus 460. So I'm trying to win 1,000 here. And I really think JJ is going to give me a very honest chance of cashing that. She's going to be landing at will.
That would be a huge hit, Zia. Luke, what fight are you looking to fade?
Yeah, I'm going kind of down in that bottom range too. Micheal Gilmore at 7K. I just think it's a pretty bad stylistic matchup for him. Petroski should be able to take this dude down, should be able to submit him on the ground. That's how Gilmore has been finished in all of his 3 pro losses, even going back to his last amateur loss was via submission as well. On tough, he got taken down, submitted in the first round as well. So assuming Petroski comes in here and takes the correct game plan, I don't really see what kind of resistance, Gilmore might be able to apply. If Petroski decides to stand and strike for, 15 or so minutes, then, maybe there's some knockout upside there for Gilmore. But coming in against a former D1, D2 national qualifier, good submission grappler, the hole in Gilmore's game, 7K. Just don't really see what he's going to bring to the table.
Yep, 100% with you there. Weezy, what is your fighter to fade?
I'm going with JJ Aldrich to fade here. And here's the reason that I'm going with this. We see, Makhmud Muradov is 9,300. His inside the distance line is minus 196. Petroski, 9,200. His inside distance line, minus 201. Mana Martinez, 9,000. Inside the distance line, minus 134. And just above Mana Martinez is Aldrich there at 91 with a plus 412 inside the distance line. So if we're looking for somebody to be optimal in a tournament, we're looking for somebody that can finish inside the distance. To be that big of a favorite and that expensive, and to really only have a 20% chance of finishing inside the distance isn't good enough for me to own a lot of JJ Aldrich. I'll probably fade her in the smaller tournaments. The disrespect to the Greek girl is just, unbelievable here today. But yeah, I'm going to be fading JJ here. I'm going the other way as Z, but that's all right, man. That's what makes these shows exciting,
Yeah, I'm going to go with Weezy here as well. JJ Aldrich fade. I'm not saying she's a horrible play. I'll actually probably have some of her. I'm not going to completely fade her, but when you have fighters like Muradov up there, you have fighters like Mana Martinez, Petroski, I just like there's a little bit more. And like Weezy mentioned, the inside the distance line between the 4 are just a big discrepancy between them. But yeah, this 9K range is stacked. I think everybody in this 9K range is definitely in play. For me, it's going to be definitely a stars and scrubs type of week because I want to go up there and get Muradov. I want to go up there and get Petroski. I want to go up there and get Mana Martinez. And, I think it's going to be one of those stars and scrubs weeks for sure. So for me, I'm going to fade Aldrich just because I do like the other options up around her just a little bit more, but I do think she wins. So we'll get to let's get to the favorite dog. And let's start with Luke. What is your favorite dog?
Yeah, so this is a tough one. I think D-Rod's definitely a popular option, but I'm actually going with more of a leverage play here with Brady Hiestand at 7.5K. He has no game log. His strength of competition on Tapology is horrible, and his W's a combined opponent record of 1-24. So I think a lot of people are going to look at that and just kind of say, want nothing to do with the guy. Didn't watch Tough, but he goes in on Tough and beats a 16-5 guy and a 12-4 guy. And it all came via wrestling and grappling as well. Definitely took some punishment in that first fight, that's for sure. But he's a guy who knows what his skill set is, knows what his base is. That's to go to the wrestling grappling, and that's how he's winning his fights. And I think he might be able to do that against Turcios. I know he's a brown belt as well in jiu-jitsu, somewhat of a scrambly guy, but I think Hiestad's reasonably outgunned on the feet, and we have seen Turcios taken down before. So I think Hiestand in a W makes this a grinding wrestling based affair. I don't necessarily know if he submits Turcios or not, but he is a brown belt as well. So I think he can definitely be competitive in terms of the grappling, but I think it's the wrestling that's really the difference. And like I said, it's more so of a leverage based dog play that I don't think is going to get a ton of ownership, but his upside in a W comes with a lot of wrestling and a lot of control. So at 7.5K, I like it.
Well, Luke, it's going to be owned by me because that is my favorite dog as well. I really do like Brady Hiestand, 7,500. You mentioned it. Very good takedowns, very good BJJ, brown belt and BJJ, very young guy, and he's going to be improving rapidly. And in this matchup, Ricky Turcios, he's a great grappler himself, brown belt like you mentioned, but he can be taken down like easily. I've seen him taken down in multiple fights. Very solid off his back. But yeah, if Brady does win, it's going to be a ton of takedowns. It's going to be a ton of control time. I don't know if he submits him, but if he does like win a decision and goes out there and gets a ton of takedowns, just with the pace he puts on, I think at 7,500, Brady can definitely score pretty decent there. And what I like about Brady is he knows what he's good at. He's going to go in there. He's going to shoot a takedown probably right away. He knows he's not a great striker. He knows grappling is where it's at. And that's kind of the guy I do want to target on DraftKings, just like Ramiz Brahmaj we talked about the other day. In the Max Griffin fight, he did not shoot for takedowns. I don't expect that here against Brady at all. I think he's going to go for a takedown, pretty early and pretty often. If he does win, I do think it scores pretty decent. Weezy, what is your favorite dog?
I was going to go with Hiestand as well for the same reasons that you guys said. And not to mention, dude, that those wins that he had in the house over experienced competition were very impressive. Josh Reddinghouse has fought Sergey Muradov twice and beaten him once, and Hiestand got a win over that guy. I think Hiestand's going to be really good. But my favorite dog is Vanessa Demopoulos this week. CZ just shaking his head with the disrespect for the Greeks who gave so many gifts to the world, my friend. But the reason I'm doing this is because I don't like any of these dogs that are below the Hiestand price. I'm not liking any of them. Stewart, Alhassan, Canetti, Demopoulos, Gilmore, and Meerschaert. But the one reason that I'm picking Demopoulos here is the plus 236 fight doesn't go to decision. You're probably going to get 15 minutes out of Demopoulos. Maybe she gets a takedown or two. And the one thing that we do know about JJ Aldrich is she's not just coming in here and starching these girls. She wins by decision. So she'll probably win when she does win this fight, and I think she will. She'll probably win it by decision, but at least we'll probably get more points out of Demopoulos in 15 minutes than we might out of Meerschaert, Gilmore, Canetti, Alhassan, who might all get finished inside the distance. So I don't think she's going to win, but I think maybe she gets a takedown or two, maybe a little bit of control time, even though she's much smaller. I just think she'll last the full 15 and allow me to be able to get guys like Muradov, Petroski, Martinez, DiChirico, Turcios, battle those guys in the lineup. So that's where I'm going with.
Yeah, fair. That punt range this week is definitely rough. So we got to find somebody. Could Demopoulos be that somebody? We'll definitely find out. Z, who is your favorite dog?
I'm gonna take D-Rod. A lot of you guys mentioned him. I think it could look really bad if Kevin is getting off on the wrestling, but Kevin's going to be coming in here facing, a full-sized welterweight now. And D-Rod's very, very dangerous and lethal with his southpaw boxing game. So, I'm also a little bit tempted on a bet. Again, it's one of those fights where there's a big unknown going in, or at least in my eyes. Like, I don't really know how effective Kevin's going to be at taking D-Rod down, especially over the course of 3 rounds. And D-Rod does have, some jiu-jitsu in his back pocket. So the fight might play out to not look too great for D-Rod, but I do think he has a pretty honest chance at putting hands on Kevin if the fight's playing out on the feet. So yeah, give me D-Rod as my dog here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do like D-Rod as far as a dog goes, 7,700. I do like that. Anything else that stuck out to you guys from a dog standpoint? All right, we have about 73 in the chat. If you all can hit the like button, that would be awesome. We are about to get into our favorite GPP play, and we will stick with Z. Z, what is your favorite GPP play for this week? A play that has upside, a play that can possibly win you a tournament.
You already know it's JJ Aldrich, and I love hearing these people think, oh, Z's not going to like that when you guys are talking about taking Demopoulos as a dog or fading JJ. I love hearing that because that's going to separate me from the pack. I know nobody thinks she's going to come in here and score highly because she's a low volume striker, but like I said earlier, she's fighting much, much larger opponents. Conversely, Vanessa has been fighting smaller opponents and been getting absolutely mollywopped. Like, you go back and watch 2 fights ago, she absorbs a hellacious amount of punches from a 5'2" fighter with a 61-inch reach. Now she's fighting 5'5", 67-inch reach, training with Rose Namajunas, JJ Aldrich, who's been in the UFC, has many rounds in the UFC. Demopoulos is making her debut on short notice. To me, guys, I might be on an island with just me and my crew here, but man, JJ is going to destroy Demopoulos. And since she'll be such a low-owned fighter at this range, I think she has a great chance to completely separate me from the pack. So yeah, give me JJ Aldrich. Yeah, it's a fight that I went into tape not with absolutely no desire to bet it. But then when I saw what I saw and when I looked at the matchup, I was just like, yo, this is T-ball for JJ. And she's been making improvements, getting better. She shoots down the pipe. Her striking defense is miles ahead of Demopoulos. Like, look, guys, Demopoulos' striking looks like she took a what's it called? A seminar with Vanderlei Silva in 2003, and that was the extent of her striking, instruction. You know what I mean? She's swinging these arm punches. She's very, very hittable. One more time, she's so hittable, guys. She's gonna get lit up. Nobody's gonna have JJ. JJ's getting a nice little second round, late first round stoppage. Gonna completely break the slate. Give me JJ. Very confident in this.
Let's go. I like it, Z. No, I agree. I mean, Demopoulos blocks punches with her face. So, yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. I can't disagree with that. So we will get to Weezy's favorite GPP play. What do you got, Weezy, for us?
Yeah, first of all, just on Z right there, it's a great leverage play. I mean, we're talking about a GPP play. You want to be over-owned to the fighters that are under-owned, especially as a leverage play, so that if they do hit, if the field is wrong, and the field is wrong more often than it's right, that's how you win tournaments. So I don't hate it at all. I'm going more on a single entry here thing where I'm talking about Demopoulos maybe not getting finished inside the distance, maybe just getting more points in 15 minutes, and some of these other guys will get in 7. I don't hate the play at all, Z. But what I'm going with for GPP is Mana Martinez, because he's $100 cheaper than JJ. He's minus 134 to win inside the distance, which is the 3rd best inside the distance line on the card. And Canetti's 41, so that's just a horrible look right there. And the guy hasn't fought in forever too. Mana Martinez starching dudes, all of his finishes coming within the first 7 minutes of all of his fights. So I am liking Mana Martinez to be optimal, to score well over 100 points, starching the old Guido Canetti here.
Yeah, hopefully he brings a razor and some shaving cream for the first fight. All right, Frank brings up a good point here. He says you might have be onto something with that Aldrich play, Z. These WMMA fights always seem to make optimal, and they do. And nobody plays them, so that's why. So I definitely agree with Frank there. We saw Nunez, 4'9" Nunez, knock out Pema Leckie last week. So yeah, we could see it. All
Panay
right,
the other week too.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Panay, nobody had Panay. So, Luke, what is your favorite GPP play?
Yeah, I'm sticking with Weezy here. Mana Martinez finished all of his pro wins by KO in the first or the second rounds. Canetti's been dropped 3 times in the UFC. Defense strikes at 50%. He just kind of works in a style that forces finish. He's definitely going to chuck heat too. And, Martinez isn't the most tested guy in the world, but in terms of like, if we're trying to win GPPs, we're looking for big scores and early finishes. Maybe is this the biggest leverage play in the world? Probably not. A lot of people are going to probably have Mana Martinez too, but he also doesn't have a game log too. So I think that might be interesting. I think we might see more ownership from Muradov in that capacity too. So you might get some slight leverage from that perspective. But yeah, man, it just kind of has a little bit of writing on the wall to me that they're feeding the 41-year-old Canetti to the new young buck who probably knocks him out. But what I will say is that, Canetti could have a sneaky wrestling path in the fight too. So, but just want to throw that out there.
Yep, and we're going to make it 3 in a row. I'm really high on Mana Martinez this week. Guido Canetti, 41-year-old bantamweight. I mean, maybe you can get away with being 41 at maybe heavyweight, light heavyweight, but at bantamweight, you just don't see guys that old ever. And as far as the striking defense, Luke touched on it, 50% striking defense, very hittable. No chin. He's been finished in all 5 of his losses, 4 by submission. But if you take a look at some of those submission losses, he's getting hurt bad prior to getting submitted there. So yeah, I like Mana Martinez here, like him quite a bit. All of his wins come by finish, 100% finish rate. His opponent's been finished 100% of the time. I believe all of his wins come in the first round outside of, I think, like 2. So first round knockout upside as well. So yeah, give me Mana Martinez here to beat Guido Canetti. Anything else stick out to you guys as far as a GPP play?
See, folks, if you guys are watching this, do you want to be with the GPP play where 3 of the 4 panel members have picked it? You want to be running with the herd, 75%, going to take Mana Martinez, or you want to be the lone wolf out here with JJ Aldrich getting a first UFC knockout this weekend? Ooh. Let's go, folks. Y'all know where the GPP value is. Come on.
That's confidence right there, baby. That's confidence, man. That's why people follow you, Z.
Exactly.
Guys, watch her second last fight, Demopoulos' second last fight, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
I did. She's very hittable. She does nothing good. Kind of reminds me of Fabio Chiron. Does nothing good.
It's one of those, there's such a huge level gap too. Like, it's just a giant level gap. I love it.
No, I get it. And like you mentioned, she's going to be very low owned. Muradov, Martinez, Petroski is going to be a lot higher under her. So good point. I think both Mana and JJ are decent GPP plays there. And then let's move on to our favorite cash plays, and let's start with Luke.
Yep, I'm going back with the tough boys. Andre Petroski, 9.2K. Once again, quasi, maybe a leverage play. I think we might see a lot of Muradov both in GPPs and cash. Guy doesn't have a game log, but he's a solid wrestler, solid grappler. He's going to come out here, look to wrestle, most likely sub this dude in the first round. He has the second best inside the distance line on the slate, and his opponent has the worst inside the distance line on the slate. So I think he has the highest upside of anyone you can pay up for, I guess, the quote unquote least amount of risk, at least in terms of the odds, assuming he maximizes win conditions. So I like Petroski at 9.2 for cash.
Yep, I'm with you there. I like Petroski quite a bit. He's going to, like you mentioned earlier, he's a D1 wrestler. He trains with guys like Sean Brady at that gym, and the guy's a beast. And he's going against Gilmore, who I just don't think is, UFC caliber, to really say the least. Poor takedown defense. He's been submitted in all of his losses, and I think there's a very good chance that Petroski not only gets a submission, but probably gets in the first round as well. His takedown upside, control time upside, and a very early finish upside as well. I just think Petroski's on another level here, and that's kind of why we see him at minus 600 on some books, minus 550 on some books. I just think it's a big gap in the skill here. So give me Petroski as well, 9,200. I do think he is somewhat safe. I do have question marks going forward in terms of the gas tank, but this is a matchup where I just don't think we'll really have to worry about it. I think it does finish pretty early. Weezy, what about you? What is your favorite cash play?
Yeah, make it 3, man. Petroski, this guy's, there's a lot of potential ass shavings on this card. There's a lot of them, but this one just seems to be the one that is going to be shaved the cleanest. And it's not just because Petroski's actually pretty damn good. It's just because, Gilmore really just seems to be he seems to be doing a favor for Dana here to get that fight against Urbina, taking it on 1 day's notice. And because he stepped up and did that, a lot of people wouldn't have done that. I think he's getting this fight, but I think it's going to be one and done for him. I think Petroski will probably get him out of there in the first round, and I think he'll do it using grappling. So I could see him easily scoring 100, 110, maybe even 120 points. So it's the easiest pick on the card for me.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think he has probably the highest upside in my opinion, on the entire card. Z, what is your favorite cash play for this week?
My cash play is going to be Makhmud Muradov. I'm a fan of Meerschaert. I like what he's done. Yeah, I respect his grappling ability, especially in transitions, but I think there's a huge speed gap here, and I think Muradov puts him away. So as far as somebody who, in my opinion, is pretty safe to win and most likely gets a finish, I'm gonna say Muradov for cash, just as like a pretty solid spot in my opinion.
Yep, I like it. Anything else stick out to you guys? In terms of
I was gonna say DiChirico as well. I just don't think Hiestan's got anything left in the tank.
Sure doesn't look like it. Also, in terms of the main event for cash, what do you guys think about maybe stacking the main event in cash, or just going one way or another? I'm probably thinking about going Barboza personally, but a stack wouldn't be terrible.
The problem with stacking, I think you do guarantee that one of them is going to score highly, but it's not the type of spot where, like, if it does trickle over, I think it might be a pretty low scoring affair where they're like two high level strikers both trying to gauge their range and operate in the space they want. So I don't hate it, but as far as like your upside, like when I stack, I stacked Song and Kenny because I just saw that being a high paced fight and got points on both sides. So but I don't hate it because, again, the winner is probably going to score highly.
And then not only that, I think when you do want to stack, it's when you think that there aren't going to be any underdogs that are going to cash. And this is kind of one of those weeks where maybe, a lot of ass shavings, are going to come from the favorites. So if you do stack that main event and none of the underdogs cash, hell, you might take down the tournament.
Yeah, well, you're just going to take Demopolis, right, Weezy? You'll be fine.
That's enough, Z. That's enough.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
telling you, man. This. Oh God, the Greeks. The Greeks are spinning like lathes in their graves right now, knowing you disrespect them this way. My word, man. My word.
All right, so we'll move on. We have Aiden here. If y'all can smash the like button, that'd be much, much appreciated. As always, let's get those likes up. One small like does go a long way. And then, of course, thank you all so much for hanging out every Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So let's move on. So we have our favorite value play here, and we will start with, let's start with Weezy. Weezy, what is your favorite value play for this week?
I'm going with Brady Hiestand, 7,500, unknown, and young and a good wrestler. And, we know that just per minute, wrestlers score more in Draftkings than pure strikers do. And in terms of Turcios, we've seen some average takedown defense from him in the past. We have seen that Brady will gas later on in fights, but if he can just win 2 out of these 3 rounds, get a few takedowns, get some control time, land some strikes, he could easily cover that $7,500 salary. And if he does that this week, whatever underdogs win are going to have a really good chance of being optimal, in my opinion.
Yep, I like it. I'm sure a lot of people on the panel do like it as well. So my favorite play in terms of value could also probably go in the dart throw category, but mine's going to be Abdulrazak Al-Hassan. He's looked horrible. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. He's looked awful. He's looked terrible, but he does have that one-punch knockout power, finishing all of his wins not only by knockout, but in the first round. He's never won outside of the first round. So if Abdulrazak Al-Hassan does win, if he does bounce back, he's going to score very well. He's going to be in the optimal lineup if he does win at 7,300. So it's kind of a shot in the dark. I definitely get that. I am picking him to lose, but if he does win, it's probably optimal. So I don't love it, but 7,300, if he does win, I think it has a ton of upside there. So Z, what is your fair value play?
I took Pat Sabatini just for the wrestling upside. I'm not super confident in his ability to win the fight because, of course, Jamall is supposedly a pretty good wrestler, although he doesn't show that in most of his fights. But pretty simple. It's a tough slate to pick dogs, in my opinion. So for the value play, I'm going to just say Sabatini, wrestling upside. Hopefully he gets on top of Emmers and grinds out a decision. But again, not much confidence, but it's a value play. So let's go.
I like it. Yep. Luke, what is your favorite value play?
Yeah, I'm actually going up to the mid 8K range. I'm going Bryan Battle at 8.6, another tough guy, no game log. Because of that, I think that might also affect his ownership, but he has the 4th best inside the distance line on the slate. He's got good hands. He'll be aggressive. He's high output. He's durable. He's shown grappling competency. He's actually the guy that submitted our boy Petroski in the second round on tough, which in my opinion is a nice feather in his cap. And the reality is that the guy he's fighting shouldn't even be in the fight. He's only in there by proxy, as Trayshawn Gore got hurt. Really no striking defense, stands very tall, moves back in straight lines, head straight up on the center line, has been knocked out multiple times before. Battle isn't, the biggest hitter in the world, but I just think he's the better fighter here. And at 8.6K, I think he's going to be a guy that's floating a bit under the radar. And because of that, I think he has value at 8.6, whether you want to use him in cash or GPPs.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about the Battle Urbina fight that much. I kind of see that one going under the radar, and I'm curious to see how owned the Turcios Hiestand fight is going to be as well. I feel like some of these tough fights are going to be a little bit under-owned, basically because most people don't know who these guys are. So anything else stick out to you guys in terms of a value play?
I just wanted to say that I like your Al-Hassan play because if you look at the most likely indicator of that somebody's going to be on that optimal lineup is that they get a first-round finish. And Abdulrazak Al-Hassan is plus 400 to finish in the first round. To find a fighter that has a better first-round prop, you'd have to go up to Mana Martinez at 9,000. So that Al-Hassan low-owned dart throw, an underdog to kind of create some salary there for you could be a guy that if he does get lucky and shows that power that he used to have, he will definitely be optimal.
Yeah, good point. On top of that, I think this is the first time in Al-Hassan's career where he's going to be an underdog as well. So we're used to paying 9,300 for him, 9,200 for him, but yeah, now he's 7,400. So yeah, I don't hate it. Let's get into the dart throw, and let's start with Let's start with Luke. What is your dart throw for this week?
Yeah, so I'm kind of flipping the value with you guys. My dart throw is Hiestand at 7.3K, and I kind of noted that too, is that this is the first time he's an underdog. So traditionally, you're having to pay up to that 9K range for, kind of hoping on that first round knockout. But I think that's why he's just a really great dart throw this week, because, at 7.3, you don't necessarily need to have a ton of him necessarily. You don't have to use a ton of salary to use him. And his win condition is pretty much reliant on a first round KO, even though I do think DiCarico is pretty durable. So that needs to be noted. But nonetheless, it's a dart throw, super high upside in a win. Hiestand at 7.3K, you have to have some shares. But what I will say is I think he's probably going to be one of the higher owned guys at 7.3K. So I don't think you're going to be very different with it, but he's one of those guys I feel like you need to have in your large field constructions.
Yep, agreed there. For me, it's going to be Sam Alvey. I'm completely aware that if this does go the distance, Sam Alvey is going to score maybe 50 points in a win, but Turman has a terrible striking defense. I want to get the exact number. It is so horrible. A 43% striking defense, Wellington Turman, worst striking defense on the entire slate, a negative 1.31 significant strike differential. And Sam Alvey hits hard. Sam Alvey hits very hard, and Turman is coming off of back-to-back knockout losses. Just got knocked out recently, like 2 months ago, coming back way too early. I can see Sam Alvey catching him here. So yeah, Sam Alvey, I'm fully aware that if he does not find that knockout, he's going to bust tremendously, but I could see him get a knockout here. So yeah, give me Sam Alvey, 7,800 as a potential dart throw there. Weezy, what is yours?
It's going to be the 41-year-old bantamweight Guido Canetti. It's just that I think this is a good fight to target as a whole. If we look at fighters that, get all of their finishes in the first round, we could look at a guy like Abdul Razak Alhassan. How's he done lately? Maybe it might happen to Mana Martinez as well. These guys that come in and just starch people in the first 3 minutes. What happens once they get outside that first 3 minutes? And plus, we do know that Canetti wants to get the fight to the ground. He spends a lot of his fights in control time positions. And Mana Martinez is coming off getting subbed by Draco Rodriguez, who has not had success in the UFC after punching his ticket after submitting Mana. So I'm thinking that I'd like to be overexposed to the field in terms of Canetti. It'll save up a lot of salary there, getting them at 7,200, and I could fit some of the other ass shaving of the week, possibilities into the top of my lineup there. So my low-owned dart throw is going to be Guido Canetti this week.
Yep, Guido, low-owned and a path to victory where if he does win, it probably does score very decent at 7K. So don't hate that whatsoever. And then Z, what is your dart throw of the week?
I'm with Luke. It's Alhassan, but I'm not really that confident in him at all. I mean, he's smaller, he's older, he's less experienced than DiCarico, who is pretty durable. But DiCarico is hittable. He does get slapped every now and then. So, yeah, I just echo everything Luke said, to be honest. If he does win, it's probably going to be a first round. If he does win and you don't have him, you're pretty much screwed. So give me Alhassan, but yeah, he's let me down before, and he hasn't looked good as of late. So very tentative, but we're talking about a dart throw. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's let me down 3 times in a row pretty bad here. So I can't be too confident in the guy. So what we will do now is last week we all gave a lineup, and I do have the results here. I think me and Weezy are the only people that do know the results. Z and Luke do not. So we'll go from 4th place, last place to 1st place, and then last place with Kelleher, Brahimaj, Roberts, Vince Pichel, Royval, and Bay Malecki is me scoring 353.26 DraftKings points. Bay Malecki screwed me, basically. I took a shot. I took a shot on a low-owned Bay Malecki, and she just couldn't get it done. So I do get last place, hopefully bounce back this week. 3rd place with Lingo, Cannonier, Brahimaj, Roberts, Guido, and Sherman is Luke with 354.11 DraftKings points. And then 2nd place is Kelleher, Gastelum, Pantoja, Guida, Saldana, Sherman is Z with 373.7 DraftKings points. In the winner of last week with Kelleher, Cannonier, Brahimaj, Roberts, Saldana, and Porter with 430.06 DraftKings points is Uncle Weezy. Uncle Weezy, how you feeling? You got the win. You got the dub.
Can I quit while I'm ahead?
Yes, you can.
I got Vanessa Demopoulos in my lineup this week, so I think Z thinks I'm going to be bringing up the rear this time, but at least I got first place last week. So, yeah, man, it felt good, but, you know, I got lucky with some picks there. I had Parker Porter in my lineup, and he got the job done.
There you go. Yeah, very nice Porter call there. And then we're going to be keeping track of the scores week after week. We're going to combine them and let everybody know who's ahead in terms of week after week and then as a whole. So, guys, in the chat, if you guys can start typing in some questions, we'll get to those very soon. We'll answer all the questions you guys have. But first, we are going to get to our lineups for this week. And let's start with Z. What is your lineup for this week?
Sure, I've got JJ. Obviously, guys, it's gonna be awesome. I took Barboza, but truth be told, Giga does have the stylistic advantages in my opinion. So that's just a fight I'm very, very torn on. But yeah, Edson has an honest chance to win. He can land hooks. He can work the body, slow Giga down. I think he's fresher over 5 rounds. So I got JJ, Barboza. I got D-Rod. I did take Sam Alvey. You know, I said it was my fight to fade, but Wellington has been knocked out twice in the past, so he is a good punt to, I believe it was Brady's credit for taking him as a punt. And then I got DeKirikou and Sabatini. And again, I took Razak as the punt, but yeah, DeKirikou can certainly get this done. So that's my lineup. JJ, Edson, D-Rod, Sam Alvey, DeKirikou, and Sabatini.
Solid. All right, Luke, what is your lineup for this week?
Yep, I'm bringing it up with all my tough guys. I'm going Petroski, Battle, Emmers, Barboza, D-Rod, and Hiestand. Leaving some salary on the table, about 500 this week too. Nice. So we'll see how she goes.
Nice, 3 tough guys. I like it. Okay, Weezy, the winner of last week's, trying to get it again. What do you have for this week?
Okay, going from most expensive to cheapest, we're going with Petroski at 9,200, Martinez at 9,000. I'm going Kevin Lee to get a little bit different at 8,500 with the grappling upside. I'm going Edson Barboza, 8,200. Looking for Sam Alvey to crack the kid Turman's chin at 7,800, and bringing up the rear Vanessa Demopoulos at $7,000.
There you go. For me, starting up top, I'm going Makhmud, Muradov, Andre Petroski, and Mana Martinez, getting the big 3 up there, and then 3 dogs as well: Danny Rodriguez, Brady Hiestand, and then also Abdul Razak Al Hassan, hoping that he can not screw me for 4 times in a row. So those are our lineups. We'll see who does good this week. I'm looking to definitely bounce back from that terrible performance. Thank you so much, Bay Maleki. But let's get to some questions here in the chat. Saw a couple here. I'm going to scroll up here. We'll ask Weezy here. Start with Weezy. Weezy, Frank says Al Hassan or D-Rod.
Oh boy, man, that's a good one. If it were a cash lineup, I'd be doing D-Rod. If it were a GPP lineup, I'd be doing Al Hassan.
I think that's a good answer there. Z, Robert asked, what's up, guys? I got D. Shariko, JJ Aldrich, Edson Barboza, Dustin Jacoby, and Sam Alvey. You guys think it's a decent parlay?
I don't like to parlay, especially that many legs. So as a general rule, I don't like it. But let me see here. DeKirikou, not bad. Aldrich, Barboza might be touch and go. Alvey might be touch and go. I'd be curious to see what the total odds are you got on that. But I don't hate it. Couple of shaky legs, but it could cash for you.
Yeah, probably some serious odds on that one for sure, especially considering a couple. Well, Sam Alvey's a dog in there. Okay, Thomas asks, we'll kick this one to Luke. He says, what about Darren Stewart's wrestling for a pump play?
I mean, I guess I don't hate it. Like I said, he has shown more of a willingness to wrestle in a couple of his recent fights. I personally think Jacoby has leveled up his takedown defense, though. So, but as a punt play, I guess if that's how you're looking at it too, for wrestling upside, and you think that's what Darren Stewart's going to do, I don't hate it because I think he's probably going to be pretty low owned. So I don't hate it.
There you go. Preston asks, probably one for Weezy because I think yours did cash. Would those lineups last week cash in the big 100K to first tournament?
You know, I know my lineup that had Porter in it, that was for this show. It cashed in a single entry and it cashed in the haymaker. But it wasn't like, you know, it didn't blow the doors off of anybody. I'm still here this week. I'm not retired. You know, but yeah, I think in the haymaker, I think it it cashed for $5 on a $3 entry. So, I mean, it got you in the money, but like I say, man, it wasn't taken first. That's for sure.
In the big one, I just looked it up here. The entry was 440.93. That was the cash. Okay. Anything above that would have cashed. So we needed 440.9. So
okay, yeah. Mine. What did you say mine had, Brady? I thought mine had like 450 or something.
I have 430.06.
430.06.
I think you said that for yours you did like one little change on yours compared to one you gave on the show.
Yeah. The haymaker. I'm showing 460. Wait, did you have me with Saldana?
Yes.
Yeah, because I had Cannonier, Porter, Saldana, Kelleher, Roberts, and Brahimaj.
Kelleher, no Cannonier.
Oh yeah, Cannonier too. Yeah.
Yeah, Kelleher, Cannonier, Brahimaj, Roberts, Saldana, Porter.
Yeah, that's 465.15 actually.
Oh, my math must have been wrong. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it actually up on my screen right now, but yeah, it got 465. It was in the bottom tier of placing, so it made some money, but like I say, not much.
Okay, we have MMA Locker Room saying, "What up, MMA Game?" I can answer this. What is up, Mills? How you doing? Let's see here. Weezy, best 4-leg parlay in your opinion? I know you gave one, I think, on your show the other day.
Yeah, I did. So what I did when Hammering Hog always asked me for my 4-leg greasy parlay, and what I did was Canetti, the Canetti Martinez fight finishing inside the distance. I had DeSharico, Muradov, and Petroski was my 4-legger. I don't even know if that's plus money. There's some wide odds in there,
yeah.
But that's the one that I gave out on the Balls Deep breakdown last night.
I like it. Z, Mr. Drail wants to know, is he crazy for thinking Gerald Meerschaert might pull this off?
You're not. I mean, you're not crazy. I certainly think Makhmud is a pretty solid pick. Again, basing that off the athleticism, the speed, the age, and all that good stuff. But he does skirt the outside. So I could see a situation where Gerald pushes him to the fence and gets the fight to the mat. But, I mean, I just think the athleticism difference here is going to be a big factor.
Yep, agreed there. Luke Thomas says Gilbert Urbina went the distance against Sean Brady. What are your thoughts that he might be better than we think?
Well, he got starched pretty easily recently, but no, I mean, that is an impressive credential to say he's went the distance with Sean Brady. But I think it's a tough style matchup for him personally.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm on battle myself. This one's probably a good one for Weezy. Dan says, I only have one question. What's the chance that first round Kevin Lee shows up in round 2 or 3? A snowball's chance or slim and none? Also, where do babies come from?
Well, we'll have to sit down at another time and talk about where babies come from, but I'm pretty familiar with that. But Kevin Lee is going to be fighting a 3-round fight here. And he's also not going to be cutting as much weight as he used to. And he wasn't even making weight down there at at lightweight. So I think we could see round 1 Kevin Lee well into late second round, maybe even early third round. But we have to keep in mind that Rodriguez is going to be the biggest man that he's ever faced. He's a true welterweight. The only other time Kevin Lee fought at welterweight was against Rafael Dos Anjos, who is a natural lightweight. So there's going to be a big size advantage here. But one thing that people are forgetting about Kevin Lee, he's 6 years younger than Daniel Rodriguez, for one. And even though he's the smaller dude, he's got a 3-inch reach advantage. So the fact that he's not cutting nearly as much weight, the fact that he's younger, has a reach advantage, and is going to be the better wrestler here. I think that people are forgetting about Kevin Lee. He's fought the much better brand of competition, and I think his conditioning might be the best we've ever seen it. It's going to be against a much bigger dude, but I am feeling pretty good about Kevin Lee this week.
Yeah, that's what kind of does concern me in terms of Kevin Lee. It's just going to be the size for me. But yeah, definitely think it's a great fight to target for sure. I'm just looking through the card here. I think we covered pretty much every single fight besides Jamall, Emmers, Pat Sabatini. Any of you guys have any strong takes on that one?
I thought I was going to be betting Emmers personally, and I'm passing just because we haven't seen Emmers aggressively wrestled much. But I do think his takedown defense is okay. You know, he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu as well. So even if he does get taken down, you know, obviously Sabatini's a black belt, but I don't think he's like screwed there. But I think Emmers pieces him pretty good on the feet. So I don't know. It's more of kind of like a questions answered to see how he reacts to someone who's going to come out and, shoot takedowns from the jump.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very good fight there. C. Thomas says Kevin Lee gassed out 170 pounds against Dos Anjos, I believe. So having confidence in him is difficult. Your thoughts?
He did gas, but it was in the fourth. So the fact that this is a 3-round fight, and even if he does gas, if he's able to survive late or just get a dominant position and ride it out, it might bode better for him. So yeah, I see what Uncle Weezy is saying. He made some good points.
All right, there we go. So that is about it, guys. I'm going to kick it around to the guys and let them know where you can find them. They have a lot of stuff going on throughout the week. We'll start with Uncle Weezy, which Uncle Weezy is very, very busy today. Shout out to him doing 3 shows tonight. So Uncle Weezy, what is up? Where can they find you? And what do you got going on tonight and the rest of the week?
Man, I am just getting started tonight, gentlemen. We're doing this tonight here. We got in a half an hour, I'm going live with my guy Monk, the Mathematician, Monk at Monk MMA Ticks. We are going to do a balls deep breakdown on the Kevin Lee, Daniel Rodriguez fight. And then tonight, I'm also doing my full card breakdown on my channel, 9:30 p.m. Central Time. Join me for that. You can hit me up on Twitter at MMA Weezy. Thanks for having me on again. I really enjoy doing this show with you guys.
No problem, Weezy. Yeah, definitely. We'll be checking you out tonight. Go ahead over there and subscribe to Weezy. Does a ton of content throughout the week. Kicking it over to Luke. Luke, where can they find you and what do you have going on throughout the week?
Yeah, so just on Twitter, SWR_betting as usual. Club and Sub Podcast Wednesday nights. Break it down these cards at 10 Eastern. Club and Sub Podcast channel. Patreon.com/SWR betting, bets, content, breakdown, all that stuff for a pretty cheap price. I actually just had an announcement today too. I will be doing Contender Series content over at dailyfanmma.com for Brett Appley. We got that coming up here next week. So if you guys are looking for written breakdowns, podcast, bets, and plays, you can check me out over there as well.
Nice. Yeah, I cannot wait for the Contender Series coming up next week. Yeah, go check out Luke over on the Club and Sub. Great podcast of guys over there. And then Z, where can they find you and what do you have going on this week?
Yeah, first, just want to say congrats, Luke. That's great that you're working with Brett. I think that's a great partnership there. You guys can find me at Z's MMA on YouTube and Twitter. Also tracked on Bet MMA, of course. And yeah, I just bet on fights. I post single fight breakdowns. I host the Fair Play podcast, which usually comes out Friday, but there has been a lot of other shows last week and this week. So I don't know if we're going to be doing Fair Play, but I've also been going live during the fights so people can see my reactions to cashing bets or crying about losses. And yeah, it's a lot of fun though. So yeah, Z's MMA on Twitter and YouTube pretty much.
There you go. Check him out. Yeah, Z's been putting in some serious content as of late. Every time I check my subscription box, I see a video from Z. So yeah, shout out to Z putting in the work for sure. You can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. Instagram is DFS by the numbers. I posted my full card breakdown prediction video today. Did my DraftKings video prior to this. I'm going to be posting that soon here. Going live Friday, 7:00 p.m. Eastern time on my channel, DFS by the numbers. And then Saturday having a new show. Not going to announce what it is just yet, just trying to work out the final details, but it's going to be a great show 1 hour prior to the prelims on my channel. I'll probably announce it on Friday what we're going to be doing there, but I think a lot of people are going to like it. And then, of course, Stat Diggers. Me and Uncle Weezy go live every Sunday, 7:15 p.m. Eastern time, going balls deep in every matchup. Go check that out if you have not yet. We did a very fun show there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you guys can leave a like, also subscribe to Pub Sports Radio if you have not yet. Getting really close to 10K subscribers. I do want to shout out the chat real quick. Again, the chat is the best. Would not be the same without you guys being here. So I'm doing a shout out the chat here. Dave Crack. We have Mystic Sosa. Alexander. We have Monk, which is going to be going live with Weezy. Cannot wait for that. Thomas as well. Dan. It's never a live stream without Dan bringing the comedy in there. Mystic Sosa. We have the General taking notes as always. Gentile. We have Taj. Hopefully pronouncing that right. Frank. Z's in the chat as well as on the panel. I saw Preston in here. I saw Monks. I saw AJ from AJ's Betting. Who else did I see? I think I saw, I forget. But yeah, again, thank you guys for hanging out. We'll talk to you soon. And good luck for UFC Vegas 35. See you guys.